in America at least, there's already restriction on who can get certain medical treatments because they are so expensive.
Thank you, Delegate. All those wishing to speak.
The people who currently can't afford the treatment are the people who need this technology most. And the U.S. government would spend $2.8 trillion in 2012 on healthcare, will increase its spending. Many Americans are opposed to this. We should not be focusing on treatments that are uncertain, treatments that 80% of scientists around the world have called possibly unsafe.
Before we found these safe diseases, they were unknown too, but we took the risk of researching them and now they're safe diseases. Gene and cell therapy can do this, and we can make it more safe with continued research.
Why is it that these surgeries are put higher above cystic fibrosis or mitochondrial disease? Why is it that vaccinations to polio and tetanus are more important than these diseases?
These treatments are the future of medicine. We should be investing in the future, not the past.
If these treatments are the future, we are heading into the dark ages.
Every day, people change their hair color by dyeing it, their facial features by plastic surgery, or their eye color with contacts. We can do this because we have the right of freedom of choice. We can change whatever we would like to do with ourselves. If we are allowed to dye our hair or do this, why can't we do this using genetics?
You choose to have plastic surgery yourself. Your parents do not choose to give you plastic surgery.
We're letting the parents play God, and there should only be one being that should play God, and that is God himself.
And if you believe that this is against the will of God, then don't do it. But I think that everybody should be able to have the chance to use this technology. Thank you.
When does the line be drawn between the miracle of a baby being created and entering a build-a-baby workshop?
And how is it ethical that you as a parent can choose what your baby looks like? That's part of what a baby is. They have their own unique appearance, and that's what makes them unique.
More criticism should be against the actual ideas and not the delegates themselves.
You want to figure out what your policy, like what the most important parts of your policy is and what you think you can probably compromise on and try and really get the most important things. But in the end, you don't have to get everything. Because in the end, we want to come to a solution. This is a very real scientific discovery that is emerging.
So, in order to find a solution, oftentimes what you have to do is to come up with a new one. Not one that's been discussed before, but something that we have created here.
Not only are these diseases an undesirable trait, but they are also a fatal trait.
And if this fatal disease continues to kill people, then we will evolve naturally.
I think also a part of our evolution is being able to evolve in our intellect and science in order to be able to overcome these diseases.
By using gene therapy, it will just inflict more problems and more diseases such as cancer.
The topic is on question 5, which is, are diseases a natural, acceptable feature of the evolution of mankind, or an undesirable trait that should be eliminated by science? There is a precedent for starting something that has been proven to work immediately without necessarily knowing the effects.
So if you're in favor of germline therapy, please raise your placards now. And then if you are against germline therapy, please raise your placards now.
This clearly passes. Center for American Progress.
Motion for a 10-minute extension of the previous moderated items.
Right. That passes. So, Center for American Progress, you have the floor.
8 nations have abandoned embryonic stem cells because they failed to produce acceptable results.
It would be like having to recall a brand of cars. All of the products will already be out there, but if we discovered something was wrong, it would be a disaster. The product would already be on the market.
I will repeat it again until more of you take it into consideration. Allowing this product to go into market will be going against God's will by changing the genetic makeup of these children, and it's simply not something that we should do.
10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking time to discuss question 2, which reads, will the high cost of gene therapy make it available only to a select few? And if so, should government subsidize certain forms of gene therapy in the name of equality? All those in favor, please raise your placards. Is that already? No. Okay. All right, that passes.
We can reduce healthcare costs drastically in many of these countries and allow for money to be taken temporarily out of the budget now for a long-term decrease forever.
But if you can't get a cure and you have to die because you don't have enough money, that is unacceptable, delegates.
There will
divide naturally from those who can afford it and those who can't.
The first gene therapy went on sale for 1.1 million euros, which is $1.4 million. That would dramatically increase the tax rate.
The first procedure is always the most expensive.
When we can prohibit these long-term fatal diseases from bloodlines of generations, that is when government subsidies come in to lower the gaps.
Of course, lives are important, but we still need to cut down the costs.
That's exactly my point, Ted. You're saying it's a waste of money for your own product.
Alright, let's talk compromises.
Everybody, we have age restrictions. Why do we have age restrictions in the first
Guys, there shouldn't be age restrictions on life. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Why is donating cells or DNA different than donating organs? I don't understand. Yeah.
I think we should really focus on the paper and resolution with questions. Thank you.
We are currently using a technology that rearranges the genes from both biological parents, and this may seem a little bit more ethical, I believe, to the right corner, so I would like to hear your views.
You're not choosing the baby, you're picking a healthy future. You're picking a future without suffering. You're picking the safety of a child.
The goal of gene therapy is to overcome the effects of a malfunctioning disease-causing gene by delivering a normal functional copy of the same gene.
Our ethical issue with treatments that we have discussed here is not only if they're inheritable or not, it is also if you're changing the genetic makeup of someone, which would be happening with these spark therapeutics.
All I keep hearing is that it's unethical, but don't see what the problem is.
Using a different person to fix your own genes is simply against God's will.
None of us know God's will, so could we please just stop talking about that, please?
Now I understand that it is potentially changing the genetic makeup of a human, but is changing the genetic makeup of a human in the same way that an organ donation changed the anatomical makeup of a human.
God has given us intelligence, and with this gift, we have developed technology. God has given us the gift of genetic therapy to overcome disease that has plagued humankind since the beginning of time. Blessed is the one who uses God's gift for the good of the people. Amen.
It's for the good of the people, and it's the only gene that is being altered is the one that is causing the disease. We're not changing its entire DNA. Thank you.
This new technology from the Spark Therapeutics is curing these diseases through a smart way, and it is not going into the embryo. It is a safer way, and it seems like the right solution.
Since there's so much controversy on the table right now, I believe that we should work further on writing down what we have compromised on rather than bringing up multiple new ideas.
Nothing is perfect, guys, except for whatever God creates. There are some things have mistakes, but I think the more cheeses we can layer on top of each other, the more holes will be filled. I think that if we use more technologies, we can fill those gaps. Thank you.
An alternative to using dangerous, unpredictable gene therapy is autologous. It has worked thousands of times and has been thoroughly tested. And although it does not cure every single disease, it cures many.
But I don't want almost. The embryo project wants all.
And if we do release this too early, we can face a wild array of scientific consequences.
Hold on, delegates. I'm getting a vision. Delegates, God has spoken. We have our solution right at our fingertips. Gene line therapy.
I encourage you guys to try and answer one of the remaining 4 questions. It's okay if you can't get to all 4 of them. If just as long as you can answer one fully, that is okay.
Where this product is being sold, there would be a section saying that as this product is not gone through one generation of testing, we cannot recommend it's 100% safe. Everything is still fine. We are just letting our customers know and keeping them aware. That is the solution we are looking for, ladies and gentlemen.
And if we don't want to have that label on our products, we don't have to. If this committee forces that's overstepping its authority.
Delegates, I urge you to accept this compromise so we can pass the BSACA agreement of 2015 and achieve the life and liberty which our people deserve.
A motion to enter the voting block.
That is in order. Are there any other points of motions? All those in favor of this motion, please raise your placards now. This motion clearly passes. We will now begin voting. Ethics and Public Policy Center, how do you vote? Yes. Netherlands, gene and cell therapy.
Yay.
Nature technology.
Yes.
Unicure.
Yes.
23andMe.
Yes.
Christian Coalition.
Yes.
Jeremy Rifkin. Nature technology.
Motion to close debate.
That is in order. All those in favor of closing debate, please raise your placards now. All right, this motion clearly passes. Please stay seated. We are now doing a debate debrief.
Sometimes I had really conflicting views on my points. So
I was surprised by the outcome and was really happy that we managed to come up with actually an entirely new solution that solved a huge portion of the ethical issues.
And I feel like the hardest part for me was kind of like wrapping my mind around like the biology aspect of it.
And I strongly do support everything but three-person babies, so it was quite similar to the BSACA agreement.
Misha brought up the facial deformities, because for me that really challenged what I thought was like appearance of what you were born with that might be actually a disease or might be causing you pain. Actually, if your face is actually a little different, does that still cause you pain? And like, what is pain anyways? And that really challenged me to think, and I thought that was really cool.
I actually wholeheartedly support everything in genetic modification, including for looks or for intelligence or for strength or anything.
These radical positions are much more fun to represent.
This is also the main first committee where I actually really tried to write a resolution, and I thought that turned out pretty well, and I'm pretty proud of the SACA and the fact that it passed.
I honestly like the idea of designer babies. I think they should, all this gene therapy, germline therapy should be used to cure diseases.
Like, my opinion pretty much did align with my company's, but I am pro, curing diseases using all this technology.
This was our first experiment, really, to see what scientific debates would look like. I know it's a lot of complexity with the biology and the specificity that has to get done, but it was really nice to hear many of you who I hadn't heard speak in other debates or other conferences speak and have an opinion on this debate. And I also commend a lot of delegates who are still fairly new in LCM and went for it and took a chance and debated in this debate. Also those delegates who were supporting views that they don't normally agree with and or decided to infer views for the purposes of this debate.